Hello, my name is JP Bresser. I'm an instructor for Global Underwater Explorers, and today I want to talk to you about knots. Not only going to talk about the different type of knots, but also their application, what type of equipment we need, and the objects where we can attach them to. So whenever I work with any type of equipment, maintenance, repair, or adding knots or anything else, the first thing I do, I always take care of a clean working environment. And I make sure that I have all the pieces of equipment necessary within hand. So for this small workshop, what I'm going to use are two types of bolt snaps, depending on the application. I have a lighter, which I'm going to use, a pair of scissors or a line cutter. I'm going to use some bungee, and I'm going to use some standard line, which in this case is a gauge 24 or a 2mm line. It's typically the line we standard use for our reels and our spools. So the first knot we're going to do is the one we use to attach the little bolt snap here to our long hose. And we teach this quite extensively during our fundamentals training. At least in my class I always try to do a little workshop where we go over all the nuts and the different attachment points for all the piece of equipment. And then later when I see people coming back in my classes, typically one of the problems we see is that the knots start to slide. So what I'm going to show you is how you can tie a proper knot where it will stay in place, so it's much better fixated to the line. This knot will also hold on my flex hoses. The second thing which is important is not only the type of knot you use and how you're going to tie it in, but also where you position that little bolt snap. Some cases I see people that have the bolt snap move all the way up here. Two problems arise. One is whenever you clip the hose away, it will be dangling out of your profile, specifically cave diving. That's not going to be working in your advantage. The second thing is you actually want it positioned so that when you do a one-hand clip, you can actually clip it directly. So if this one is too far away, I would grab the hose to clip it away. You can actually see what the issue is. Now I need to use my left hand to get the regulator, and then again my right hand to reach for the clip, and now I can clip it away. So typically what I tell people to do is to move it a little closer to the second stage, typically roughly 1 finger length in between, and now whenever I clip it, I can just grab it out of my mouth and one hand to the clipping. Specifically working with stages where you have to go from the long hose to the stage regulator or diving side mount. You don't want to lose that dexterity of moving from one hand to the other, but it's much nicer to just do the one hand clipping in one motion. Okay, let's work and attach this bolt snap to the hose. So I'm going to run it through there a couple of times. Actually going to do it 3 times. 1, 2, and a third time. Like this. What I'm going to do now is move it to the appropriate position on the hose. So I'm going to move it up the hose roughly a finger's length in between. Now this first one is the most important of the 2 knots, because this will actually hold it in position. So this one needs to be really tight. I'm going to move the bolt snap up there, and I'm going to tighten it really hard, and then I'm going to move the bolt snap over it. So as you can see, the bolt snap is holding the knot already in place. It's already so fixated that's already impossible to move that line on the rubber long hose. So now we're going to finish it with a square knot. That means this one goes first under, and then this one goes over like this. And now I'm going to tighten it like that. All I need to do now is cut off the last pieces of line and burn them in with my blowtorch. Careful you don't burn the hose itself. Finish it like that, and as you can see, that knot is not going anywhere. It's extremely secure and tightened the bolt snap to the long hose. So other applications of the same knot we use to attach this bolt snap to the long hose are to attach a bolt snap to a light head. This is the new Halcyon handheld focus 2.0. As you can see here, I used exactly the same knot to attach this bolt snap to the light head. Another application is attaching a bolt snap to a gauge. And as you can see here, I prefer to use a bigger size. The advantage here, if I use this one, that I can actually go with my finger in between or use it as a bigger grabbing point whenever I'm clipping, finger clipping and unclipping the bolt snap on the SPG. Where you actually attach this nut is a bit depending on the configuration of your hose. As you can see, these Halcyon regulators might have a different hose routing than other types or brands of first stages. And what I sometimes see is that these hoses are a little bit too long. In that case, you can actually move up temporarily before you get a new correct length size hose. Move it up a little higher on the hose. Be very careful that you don't put a knot on the swivel, because during a bubble check this will prevent you from seeing small problems with leaks on the swivel part of your gauge. So today we talked about knots, and specifically about the knot we use to attach any size bolt snap on either a rubber hose from your long hose, where it is important to make sure it's not too far away or too close to the second stage, making it easy to one hand clip and switch between the regulator. Bolt snap attachment point to gauges, making sure that you decide the correct position so your routing of your hose, of your gauge, is nice and streamlined with your body, making sure it's not covering the swivel, preventing bubble checks, or an attachment point to a light head. Keep in mind that the first knot is the most important, the one that actually keeps the line and the bolt snap in place, and secure it on the other side with a standard square knot when we burn in. I hope this little workshop will help you in the future applying the correct knot and preventing bolt snaps traveling on your equipment.